So our whole goal is, well, what can we do to try to strengthen our immune system so we can come in with those natural killer cells and take the garbage out, the cleanup crew, take out the zombies, and then also have the repair systems to repair damage, prevent cancer, that we can do to reduce down overall inflammaging. Zombie cells are not the problem. Your immune system is. Hi, I'm Dr. Valerie Davidson from the Progress Your Health podcast.
And I'm Dr. Mackey from the Progress Your Health podcast. So this is our third part in our three-part series talking about zombie cells. So we talked about what they were. You can find the links up in the upper right-hand, left-hand corner for the previous videos. So I know we talked about a little bit about natural killer cells. Natural killer cells is this part of your immune system that kind of like an analogy I used before. I think we did it for our live event in our community, was the natural killer cells are like little Pac-Man, that go around in your blood looking for defective cells, looking for cancer cells, looking for zombie cells, looking for things that they have to clean up. And that's sort of like our first line of defense against these aberrant cells that just sort of go a little rogue.
Yeah, I kind of, so the natural killer cells are part of the immune system. I think of the immune system overall is the immune system becomes less efficient. So there's, what they call it, immunosenescence. So basically your aging immune system, it's not as efficient. It doesn't have as many cells in your immune system. So if you have less, officers around, they can't pick up the bad guys. If you have, less immune system.
And more demand.
Yeah, and there's more demand over time too. So I kind of think of it like the immune system really can't see this zombie cell that's putting up its flare and, yelling, hey, come get me. So if the immune system can't see it, then the natural killer cells, which are part of that immune system, which I think of them as like assassins, right? They come in and they will take you out. That they go and they kill you. And then you have the different, what's called phagocytosis, or the macrophages come in and they eat up the debris. So once the natural killer cell kills that zombie cell, then you have this phagocytosis with the macrophages coming up and they're, taking out the garbage. Yeah. So you see less of that. So there's more debris in the system. The natural killer cell might not even show up to take out the bad guy, to take out the zombie. And then you have these stem cells, which everybody talks about stem cells. They're waiting in the wings saying, okay, I'm going to jump in and become any cell you want me to be. But if we have less stem cells, there's going to be very slow repair. So it's really like this, it's really more of an immune system issue rather than the zombies being the bad guy.
Yeah, right. And if you think about it, and when we're younger, we repair very quickly, right? Wound healing is so fast when we're young, and then we get to a certain point, and then it just takes so long for something, a bruise, a scrape, a scratch. That's literally the same thing that's happening on the inside of your body. Your body just gets less efficient, maybe because there's more accumulation. So more of those cells, there's more to be done, right?
Yeah, there's more demand, like you said. There's more demand.
More demand, but also the repair process itself is getting weaker and weaker. So that's that's like sort of two problems at once. You have more demand, but a weaker and weaker response system. That's only going to end up with more accumulation, hence more inflammaging.
Yeah, inflammaging. Aging plus the new fancy word. Inflammation plus aging is inflammaging. Yeah, I think we've always talked about it like adding life to your years, not necessarily years to your life, because we want to live well. And when you're thinking about it, and everybody is talking about, I'm so inflamed, I got to get my inflammation down. So I do think, inflammation is a huge word. Zombie cells are a part of it. There's other aspects that go along with inflammaging or inflammation. But I do find that if we have more knowledge, then we can reverse engineer it so we can try to reduce down, because there's no magic pill that's going to fix zombie cells and their
although they're working on it.
I know they are. Yeah. I know they are, but there's not going to be one. It's never a one-stop shop.
No.
Right? It's a whole collection. And we had talked about on the previous two podcasts that some things that create the zombie cells, we just have no input. Like I'm not, we're around environmental toxins all the time. We have kind of a, polluted world in some respects. There's lots of beauty and unpollutedness in it. But, in our cities and different places that we live, there's a lot of pollution there. There's toxins, there's plastics, there's so many things that we really can't protect ourselves from getting into contact unless you lived in a bubble or something. So our whole goal is, well, what can we do to try to strengthen our immune system so we can come in with those natural killer cells and take the garbage out, the cleanup crew, take out the zombies, and then also have the repair systems to repair damage, prevent cancer. But then at the same time, we're looking at, aspects that we can do to reduce down overall inflammaging.
Inflammaging, yeah. Because like you said, society-wise, and when our water's dirty, our air's dirty, our environment's dirty, our food is tainted, that puts a lot of burden and as stress and pressure on not only the body itself, but like I said, that repair process, which our body is genius being able to repair itself. Otherwise, we'd just be a mangled. By the time we were like 3 years old, we'd just be a mangled mess if our body didn't have the ability to heal itself. And we're just trying to understand, how can we impart some, inputs on that, whether that's from a protocol or a peptide or hormone or, some kind of a, natural ingredient. Drugs in general, most of the time, you're not going to have this kind of impact on the body with pharmaceuticals, depending on what the pharmaceutical is.
I know there's a couple of pharmaceuticals out there that they're testing for, these senescent or zombie cells or the inflammatory markers. They're, we don't have a lot of research on them. I know that, just with our, naturopathic protocols, that we do have a lot of protocols that we work on in terms of supplementation and lifestyle that I think can have a huge impact on inflammaging and then these so-called, zombie cells.
Yeah, and we put together, supplement protocols for patients and different things. Like you have a certain rationale that you're thinking about, like this affects this, what, has this kind of trickle-down effect. But, I've never thought of up until recently, as we've been, doing a research about zombie cells, I never thought of a strategy specifically designed to, clean up the zombie cells necessarily, right?
Yeah, the cleanup crew. So that's where, strengthening and supporting the immune system. You don't necessarily want to stimulate the immune system if there's no virus or something in the system. You don't want to stimulate it, but you want to support the immune system because the immune system has to work really hard. Definitely, which a lot of people already know is vitamin D. Vitamin D is really good for the immune system overall as a support. So I like vitamin D. I know that you like vitamin D too, right?
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah. When you're thinking, actually, let me back this up a little bit. When you're thinking about zombie cells, you're thinking of what's the fancy word? Senolytic.
Senolytic and cynomorphic. So senolytic are the ones that actually kill the zombie cells. Cynomorphic are compounds that just kind of turn them down a little bit. Some of the docs that we learned from way back in the day used to talk about all the different uses of quercetin. Now, granted, when we learned back in the early 2000s, no one was ever talking about zombie cells back then. But this is a whole new reason as to why, something like quercetin. I don't know of any of the other bioflavonoids like rutin or hesperidin or some of those other ones, if they have the same impact.
Resveratrol is actually a cynomorphic.
Yeah. But
or it can be, is a compound that's naturally found, I want to say in strawberries, but you can't, as I always think of, food is medicine. I always think of that as kind of baseline, but you'd have to eat a lot of strawberries to get a therapeutic dose of fisetin. Yeah, if you can get, there's a lot of products out there that have like proprietary blends of fisetin in it. And there you could take, they're usually around like 100 to, I want to say like 500, maybe 350 milligrams of these proprietary blends. I still cycle them. You could still take that every day, these proprietary blends that have fisetin in it and has quercetin and a bunch of other things. You could take that. I still say if you're going to take fisetin that you still want to cycle it. So with those proprietary blends, this is not for medical advice, only for education, la, la, la. But usually I'll say, maybe, every other day or 3 days on, 4 days off, or, 1 week on, 1 week off. You could, because they're not that strong in the fisetin when you do those proprietary blends. But if you can actually get straight fisetin, which is just straight up, usually that's around like 1,000 to 1,500 milligrams, then you only want to take it 2 times a month, just 2 consecutive days a month, and then stop it. So it's kind of like you turn the volume down on the inflammatory markers. And even though they say it's maybe not quite a senolytic, I think it might be, or it might kind of create more debris, and then you need to just wait for that time for that cleanup crew to come in and take out the garbage, because you don't want all that debris and that garbage and cellular death to be in your system constantly. It's like with our trash fella or peoples. They come over once a week and they take the trash out. They don't come over. If we had them coming over every day, we would. I don't even know how to say it. Like, we bring the trash out. If we're bringing the trash out every single day, it'll just accumulate, and then we need to have. So that's why they say you have to cycle it. So that's the one little thing about the seat, and I want to kind of interject.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, these compounds, these ideas are going to keep, evolving and changing because there's going to be more research. There's still going to be, there's one drug, dasatinib or something like that. I think it's like a chemo drug. I don't know much about that one. That one's supposed to have a significant senolytic impact or signal in combination with the quercetin. Right, so that's one drug, sort of a nutrient combo that actually has some pretty reasonable research. But I don't know much about the dasatinib, so I don't know what the mechanism is and what the potential side effects of a medication like that are. Yeah, so we're thinking about that. Like, what are some other ideas? Are there any lifestyle or behaviors that we can do? And I always, when it comes to NK cell activity, I always think of temperature. I always think of, when we were in school, we used to do some different physical therapy modalities using water and temperature. And, anytime you can heat up the body, you have a potential to increase NK cell activity. So as you were saying, the cleanup crew doesn't get to where those zombie cells are. What can we do lifestyle wise? Nowadays, everyone's, taking saunas and doing cold plunges and using temperature to manipulate the body in some way. That is always going to have a positive impact on immune function.
And then I think exercise. Exercise is a big one. Of course, we all know that. We should exercise more. Fasting, intermittent fasting also has some good benefits with kind of the cleanup crew, with cleaning up the debris. I know that. And then, of course, visceral body fat or visceral adipose tissue is very inflammatory, that can start to create more senescent or zombie cells. So trying to keep that visceral, it's kind of the chicken and the egg, because when you have the senescence or the zombie cells secreting all this inflammation, it can actually promote visceral adipose tissue or visceral fat. But at the same time, visceral adipose tissue can promote these zombie cells.
Yeah, when you talk about fasting, certainly the idea that comes to mind is autophagy. Okay, so I want to know, and I don't know this answer to this question, this is for another episode, is autophagy in this cleanup process the same thing? Okay, now that's what autophagy is. Autophagy is basically the cleanup crew, but is there another process that's happening there, specifically for zombie cells, or is that really what autophagy actually is? Is when we say autophagy, is that what we're doing? Are we cleaning up zombie cells in that respect? I don't know the answer to that.
I'm not sure either, because I know we don't make a lot of zombie cells. They can accumulate with age, of course, because there's more demand, there's more inflammation. I'm sure they can accumulate with age, but it's not like all of a sudden, we have so many zombie cells in our body. It's really more about the little fire and that low-grade inflammation that's happening chronically over time from even just one zombie cell. This is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to aging or reducing inflammation this is constantly evolving. So I find this fascinating. So it'll be interesting, because we'll probably look at this episode like a year or two from now and be like, oh my gosh, we know so much more now.
Oh, absolutely. Especially now with AI and everything. So we can sort of dive into the research and, kind of come up with some new ideas and some new compounds. And we're just scratching the surface. Granted, research to clinical practice does not happen very quickly. A lot of good research out there that does not make it into the doctor's office, which is really unfortunate, because there's some amazing research that's being done all the time. But how do you go from research study to clinical practice, and how does that benefit someone, feeling better, reducing inflammation, improving their disease profile, whatever the case might be? Transition there from research to clinical practice is a very slow one. Medicine is one of those areas that does not evolve and change very quickly. However, I think doctors like you and I and other functional medicine, anti-aging specific, we're always looking for those little tips and tricks and things that can do exactly that. So slowing down the aging process as much as possible and giving ourselves and our patients as much of an edge as we can. Just the nerds in both of us, right? We're just sort of excited to learn some of these things just in general. And sometimes there's so many things to pay attention to, but at the same time, zombie cells are just, the word zombie just makes them kind of interesting, and it's kind of fun to learn about. So until next time, I'm Dr. Mackey.
And I'm Dr. Valerie.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care.